Do you fall in love much too fast? I used to do that. Oh my God. I sometimes even look back on it with a kind of warmth and melancholy, nostalgia, I suppose. Yeah, the pain of looking back and thinking about how innocent and foolish and lovely I was. I reckon I started falling in love too fast when I was 11 years old. Anna Deer, that's who I first fell in love with too fast. But then Laura Benson. Oh my God, there were so many people that I fell in love with too fast. Amanda, I'm an adult now. I was a child in those first ones. Amanda, I was in my 20s then, fell in love like wallop, like a smack in the mouth. It's like the love is there in me, like I'm inflated with it, that it is indeed my life force, love, this appetite, this magnetism to pull together. Long before it became eroticized in my sort of adolescence, I was a very nervous, awkward adolescent. There was no sexual confidence going on. It was just a very pure kind of longing, a longing to love and be loved, a kind of worshipful state, really, very open-faced, teary-eyed devotion. Life hardened me, as life seems to. And I think what happened then is I perhaps became, I've always had that potential to fall in love quickly, to sort of do the maths quickly in my head. Oh, this one's the one. I feel the confetti falling even when we're still eating the bread rolls on the first date. I wouldn't have a bread roll now. I try to only eat vegetation and protein. But for me, falling in love, it was a sort of, I think it's common for addicts as well. Addicts, I think, fall in love a lot because of the appetite, the thirst for spirit. The risk, of course, if you fall in love, when you're adolescent, you're still going to get your heart broken. Perhaps you never get your heart broken that badly again. Perhaps no one ever hurts you the way that you're hurt as a kid. I know there's the complications when you're an adult, and there's financial complications and to extricate yourself from when there's children, God. But when you fall in love fast, when you fall in love with people you just met, the sense that I get, of like how it works in mythology, like with Eros or Cupid or whatever, shooting you with an arrow, it's a sense that some external thing has bewildered, dumbfounded, spellbound and enchanted you. Now that is beautiful. From an evolutionary psychologist would say, well, that is nature's way of making you procreate, of making you take risk, of bewildering you, making you put aside all other commitments, connections, and conditions in order to pursue that love. Indeed, like an arrow, shortest route possible. Get there, get the connection, get the love. But there are people that I know that have fallen in love quickly and stayed together. But I sense that this euphoria does not endure, is not sustainable. It is like a self-administered narcotic state, a dopamine flood that would be exhausting to live with. My sense is that this is how you know if you're in love. Am I willing to change? Am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to put this person's needs ahead of mine? If you're not willing to do that, what you're experiencing is just possibly attraction and affection, and it could be a carnal yearning. Until you're willing to do those things and sustain those things, you don't really have a platform for longevity. But I feel sometimes that perhaps longevity, there's more to life than life. Perhaps you can fall in love with someone for half an hour. I remember once, I'd not long been clean, going on holiday to somewhere in Thailand and meeting a woman on the beach, and I was nervous and stuff, and it was the first time I went away with a couple of mates, and I met this woman. We ended up sleeping with each other. I really wanted to see her the next day. What it is, like, sex is obviously fantastic and stuff, but I wanted something more than that. And I remember sort of reaching out to her. It would have been this was before smartphones. It would have been one of those texts where you had to press the button 3 times to get an M. Well, no, it would be for 3 times. Pedantic, talking about love. And I remember she wasn't like that. She wasn't interested in seeing me, and in fact, I didn't see her again. It was very confronting, not because of the rejection, although a bit that, mostly because I recognised that I sort of my guts, my life was I'm so exposed. I had such a lot of yearning in me. This happened to me quite a lot in my life, you know. Even when I remember, like as a famous person, like sleeping with people, and like I didn't want them to leave sometimes. I was always looking for more. Like now what I recognise is that love is a very powerful, beautiful force, this feeling of yearning. But for me, it's very important to remove the selfishness from it. Real love it ain't so acquisitive. It's not about control. It's not about holding on. It's about letting go. Real love is quite sort of painful. I like a buzz, don't get me wrong. The thing is though, for me, thankfully, I can't handle a buzz. I can't sustain a buzz. I'll give my whole life over to a buzz, whether it's heroin or falling in love. So what I would say, if you're the type of person who does fall in love fast, you're exactly the sort of person that should not fall in love too fast and should not prioritize these things. Like, because the price of love is pain. You know, eventually the pain is coming. Think about what job you are giving that emotion, that feeling. Are you allowing it to make you feel better about yourself? Do you feel that you are deficient without that love? Are you trying to import self-worth, self-esteem, things that ought to be generated within through service, through kindness, through interaction and through relationship, but not endowed upon you like some like something from above, like you are benighted by love. Knighted, not benighted, knighted by love. If you're a person that falls in love too quickly, you may need to give yourself some perspective. You may need to interrogate yourself a little bit. You may need to consider the number of times you've felt the very same things for different people and think, is it objectively about this other person? Or indeed, am I just allowing people to be kind of floating mandalas upon which I project my constant need for approval and affirmation and my desire to escape myself? All of us like to be plunged into that hormonal cloud of euphoric love, but it's very, very difficult to live there. Think about what it is you want from your life. Think about where you're trying to get to. And if what you want is some kind of serenity, some kind of truth, some kind of stability, some connection to something profound, something real in your life, something real that doesn't feel transient, not something that's just flicking past you on your phone, then you have to be willing to witness those feelings. Then you have to be willing to give that love to, or devote or direct that love towards something that can handle it. And I think you will probably discover that it is a spiritual and religious impulse that you're feeling rather than a romantic one. Romanticism itself, the endowing of objects or phenomena or people with divine qualities. Give the divine to the divine, you know, to Caesar what is Caesar's, to God what is God's. And for me, love, even if it is the love of another person, must be connected to divinity and therefore service and selflessness. That might be your way out of this mad carousel of falling in love with people and giving your heart out like a Ferrero Rocher.